All line this up here.
You got. Um. Where are we? Dave Purdue,
Here.
Nate Jones here. I'm Bob Higgins here.
Okay, well, we're short a few folks tonight, but we have three, which is a quorum, so we can definitely run a meeting. We don't have a whole lot tonight. I thought we wanted an agenda, it's on as well. So our first, item here is to say the pledge of allegiance, so if you please join us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, we're out now for approval of our minutes from September 11th and our last regular meeting. Does anybody have any questions, comments, need more time, or do we have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve those minutes.
I will second them.
Okay, we have a motion to approve and second, all in favor, say yes, please.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Minutes have been approved, Danielle, I have it here from you.
Great, thank you.
So our next is reports from our committee, we've had a little bit of technology changes, not much, we got a new nice copier, we've had some cameras installed out back. That's part of our improvement of our security, as well as we got some improvement on the cameras. If you might notice here, we're broadcasting live. And we do record these and put them out on the internet, on our website, so you can go out and look at these meetings.
They're
So-
actually on YouTube.
YouTube. So, I don't have any more than that, Dave Purdue.
Okay, I'll start with, I have nothing with the fire department, nothing new on that, nothing new on streetlights. And so I'll go into the inspection department report for the, month of September on 2023. We had $2,090 from permit revenue, and this year we had $6,930. So that's $4,840 in the plus. Permit revenue year to date, 2023, we had 50,290, and now we have 49,810. So we're just down $480. Building permits, is in for 23, it's 5, so this month, or last month, I should say, it's 14 for September. Number of permits year to date, there was 100 last year, there's 97 this year. So, and new homes year to date, it was in 2023, it was 19. And this year it's 11, so still yet, the homes aren't the same as they were, new homes aren't the same as they were last year. But they are still a lot of remodeling and additions and that type of thing going on. So with that said, then I will move on with the report. I see, Mr. Elkin's not here this evening, so you're on, I guess. You have the report from the sheriff's department. All right, thank you. And I'm sorry, I didn't introduce your name. What was your name again?
Bryce Easley.
Yes, thank you, Bryce.
The deputies of the zone responded to 142 calls for service for the month of September, which is 48 fewer calls than the last month. This is normal as a tourist season is coming to an end. Deputies of Horseshoe Bend responded to 7 motor vehicle crashes, 4 emotionally disturbed persons, 5 assaults, 3 domestic disturbances, 2 sexual assaults, among many other types of calls. We arrested 9 subjects for driving while intoxicated and 6 subjects for drug possession. 2 incidents that we encountered over the month we'd like to talk about. One, a deputy observed a traffic violation, attempted to conduct a traffic stop. The vehicle failed to yield. Pursuit continued into Cole County with speeds of 80 to 100 miles per hour. Cole County deputies were able to deploy spike strips, which flattened the tires of the suspect vehicle, and ultimately came to a stop on Highway 54 and Highway 179 near Jefferson City. That driver was taken into custody. She had active felony no bond warrants out of Camden County. and then new pending charges for the assisting. We received a 911 call at a condo complex. 3 subjects showed up and knocked on a door and confronted 2 subjects about an altercation which occurred the night before. The 3 subjects ended up assaulting the 2 subjects. The 3 subjects used small chains to wrap around their knuckles during the fight and the assault. One person was able to re-enter the condo and retrieve a firearm. Those subjects fled the area and they were later identified later in the day. One subject was arrested and charged with assault, and the other 2 subjects were juveniles, so that paperwork has been forwarded to the juvenile. One thing to mention in that is the firearm ended up being a BB gun, but it was a identical replica to a 6-hour P365 handgun. 2 deputies through the month attended a 3-day deputy sheriff conference to advance their knowledge of various law enforcement topics. 1 deputy attended a 2-day interview and interrogation training, and 1 deputy attended a 5-day instructor development course. That course is to try to get them certified to teach various law enforcement training classes. The 2 large tourist draws for September, which is Bike Fest and the new Jeep Innovation, went very smoothly for us. We had very minimum additional calls for service. We'd like to thank the Village Four Seasons Board for their support of our deputies who work in the zone as well as the sheriff's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent job. Boy, you did that. Right on target.
Yeah.
Did
We did it down the road, I was ready.
That's all right. We appreciate you guys being here with you, right underneath us and around us all the time here too. So
Thank you.
we sure appreciate that. And then we have a guest here with us. So you can introduce that.
Well, I think they're on for staying, both of them.
I hope they're talking.
I know you wanted to address the board, you want to address the board tonight?
Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
that's it for my report.
All right. So, we'll move on to Luann. Luann is our financial person who is, I think we have a problem with the hospital at the last minute, so she's not gonna be here. So I'm gonna talk about a few numbers and, then we can move on. Okay. So I'm just gonna read her real fast, because I'm gonna check Sherry's numbers here, but she's saying that, we can tell people that both financials are still in good shape and positive. The comparison to last year is actually better than the numbers that show on my sheet. So, look at the numbers on the sheet. So what we did is we had 2 different ways to look at our finances. We compare by budget and we compare by expenses from last year. If we look at expenses and income from last year, our total income is up $5,521. And our total expenses are actually down from last year, 1,119,000. So our net income from compared to last year is we are $6,640 higher from this time compared to last year this time. Now, if we look at our budget of what we expected to end, as well as our income, our total income, we'll say profit compared to our planned budget is we had $19,416 better this year as far as having more money ready to spend in our budget. If you look at expenses, we're down $67,000. So far, if you look at this, we're in the plus category of $86,774. And we'll give all that credit to the man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Any questions on the financials?
None from me.
Okay, Rita?
Okay, the only item I will give an update on is, emergency management. We got done, Paul Rader and I got done, the counties and from EMA. Got done through the review of the county's local emergency operations plan. Got through that, so then this morning, actually, Paul Rader and I met to kind of go over thinking what we have to look at, for the village of Horseshoe Bend. For getting kind of ourselves prepped, the village and stuff, for a natural disaster. Trying to see what we may need for getting the village, place fixed for what paperwork we may need and find out what procedure. And what I kind of plan on touching base with all the other entities, water, road, whatever, since they're individuals. We just want to touch base with them just to see what they've got in the plan, kind of set up, so we have an idea. Luckily, we're lucky in that sense, being the type of municipality we are, that we don't have departments like that, so it's less weight on the village municipality. So that, and then we're also going through on the, because during disaster, you don't really look at boundaries. It's just Horseshoe Bend overall, like our sirens cover some places outside of the country. But Paul and I are going through, looking at the bend and seeing where there's locations that would be good to set up for a distribution center if you had to hand out water. But places where you can go in, like Carl's, you can enter one way, come out another way, so it's a steady stream. So we're kind of looking at all that stuff, what places would be good lodging, resorts and stuff that's on the bend, and we're gonna compile the information. We're gonna have a meeting with Sam. I believe it's on this 22nd, and kind of go over that and then see what things she thinks that we need more to look into or kind of cover. And also in our facility here, what we need as to maybe hardware or supportive things that we need to have, maybe some partitions downstairs, portable positions in case we're used as a command center, like that we have some of that stuff, we'll find out. And hopefully some of the stuff the county will be able to provide us like they have kind of in the past, like we've got like 2 or 3 cots that the county just gave us theirs that hold here. So we're working on that. So we're starting doing that, working on that, and as we go along, if there's anything that comes up that the county isn't providing that we feel we need, we'll come to the board and see, hey, we're willing to do that, just so we're ready in case. Hopefully we never need it, but you never know. So that's what we're doing. Basically, that's what we're doing on that. One of the big things was the evacuation. Sam from the county emergency director, one of her big things is that she's focused on is evacuation from the bend, since she knows we don't have one way in and one way out. So Paul's got a center on that too. Pretty much after today's meeting, it's pretty much you just stay on the bend until, and if you have to, we have to get back past, we make contacts. We're gonna be talking about trying to make contacts even with residents to say, hey, if we have to get off, would you guys be willing to, let us utilize your boat or use your boat to haul us people off the bend. The only time we really have I think we have a problem with pretty much not being able to get off the bend is if there's an earthquake and it inhibits the bridges that are once you get off the bend. Any place you go, you have to cross some kind of overpass bridge, and until those are approved, okay, inspected after an earthquake, even if it's trimmer here, heavy duty. The Horseshoe Bend, you have to cross some type of thing like that. So anyway, so that's what we're doing, also communication, seeing how best to get the word out to people. We're gonna have I'm gonna get a hold of the POA newsletter writer. There's a app called HyperReach that is a countywide thing that you get on your phone. And then if there's some urgent alert thing from the county emergency manager, if you got that on your phone, you would get it. So that was the main thing. So that's kind of what we're working on, and I'm just moving along. Other than that,
We made a lot of progress. I know where I'm at. I'm going to your house.
we can see better if we're doing some and we may also to try to get word out to the Horseshoe Bend and spread it. I'm gonna contact the POA on their black block parties like in spring and see about us having our emergency trailer there, so people get more familiar with what we're trying to do and bring the attention to them, and then maybe I'll start having some of those public emergency preparedness little seminars I used to have free of charge, and the POA lets me use their activity center for that. Just trying to get the word out to people.
So awesome. Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay, we'll move on to unfinished business. We've got a few items here that we've been working on. The first one is the storm siren.
Yep, they're just basically in delays of, equipment delays, they haven't been able to get the proper 10 amp chargers to us that we've ordered, so. They're maybe thinking, I think in November, they're kind of shooting for,
Yeah.
but, you know, they're waiting for the stuff, I think they do have the other ones up, no,
We
the
have
other.
two up,
Two up, okay,
yeah, and then we have supply for the third in the basement or in the garage, and then once the 10 amp is manufactured, they'll bring it here, get everything assembled and put the other two in.
and we have the new location, set up over by the lodge, so. That'll take on a lot larger area than what it was even before, which accounts for not only just Village Four Seasons, but it kind of spreads out into some other areas also.
Is that property at the lodge, that new location? Do we have to get a legal description on that, is that correct?
That's all been accomplished through.
That's already been done, the last one was so difficult, yeah, it took a while, so I just thought, oh,
Road
great.
District has done their thing on it, yes,
Oh,
we still need that legal description, but the Road District is already set forth on it, whatever else.
Okay, perfect,
And then, yeah, so it's a totally different location than what it was.
yeah, right.
Real close to the
And,
entrance,
oh,
between the pond and the entrance.
oh, okay,
Kind
okay.
of.
Yeah, that would real fast, and then it's like, they would keep. Keep West.
Key West, yeah,
And Key West.
it's back to Key West, yeah.
So these are very, new upgraded, we can do voice to them,
Mhm.
Well. We can do voice through that.
if we find a way.
Currently, we are with Camden County, and it's my understanding you don't have that right now. And so if we want to use the voice, we may have to switch to Osage. But that's something that needs to be.
We'll do more research on that.
Okay, any more?
No.
Okay. Pedestrian trail, I'm gonna jump in here, most of you know that we have several miles of, walking paths, bike paths around the community. And we've made a commitment, kind of a multi-phase commitment to spend quite a bit of money on keeping these up to date for the community. The things we're doing now is more, I say, safety type things. We're putting some guardrails up on some of the areas where there's a pretty big drop off on the edge of the edge of the path, and then we've been working with the road district to replace some culverts to make sure that we're not washing out the path, and I think they're like 10 or 12 been done. And they're building up some of the, I guess gravel or whatever on the side of the path to keep those in place. Then kind of our last big one is we need to do some resurfacing on some, and that's gonna be a big project on that, so. Once that last piece is done, we are gonna be pretty set with our pass, and it should be in good shape. Any more on that?
Mhm.
Okay. Park drainage, Mr. Purdue,
Park drainage.
that was this
Oh.
one.
That's,
Yes, the steps, Ike and I did talk about that, I think kind of where it was is we were, I was originally talking about one thing, but I think throughout the range, you might help me out here for a second, throughout the range of which we have not had, I think he felt like it was gonna need to be a larger wall than what we originally talked about.
yeah,
So,
that's my understanding.
so therefore we may have to go out into a bidding process, more so than what we thought we would. It was just gonna be kind of a simple wall, and then that's been kind of changed out, so, we gotta go deeper into it.
Okay.
Getting,
Well,
I
then
think
they-
at the last meeting, somebody was tasked with, reaching out to see who might be able to create that drainage.
And we'll stop right there.
And I think possibly we just haven't gotten back to them yet.
if she's looking at me.
I'm
I'm looking this way, I'm looking at all the fine people here. Sure.
Would you like me to make some phone calls?
That'd be great.
Thank you. Pavilion, I think, some of you don't know, we approved to have a project to build a pavilion over here on the side, not that we've approved to spend, but we approved to move forward and look at what it would take and how we want to do this. So I have met with a few people and wanted to just do a few things real quick, and I want to propose a different approach. And we don't talk about tonight, because these two aren't here. But I met with some folks and they recommended that we put it on the first lot. They think that the
On the
septic,
first lot, did you say?
right, yes, they
Like,
think the septic
closest.
is,
And again, we have, for everybody else, we have two lots here. There's one lot, there's a second lot, and then the third lot has a little house on
and I think it just seemed like we could fit that. It looks like the ground's better, it's closer to the parking lot. And it also gives us a buffer between the third lot that you
it,
mentioned.
as long as we wouldn't be into the sewer line.
Correct.
So that's
And
probably.
we kind of walked that and it appears that we can do this. Now, we'll get more information, but I just wanted to let you guys know, I think that would be a better approach. Into placing that and it'd be solve several issues of
Mhm.
neighbors and.
That kind of makes sense, and it's close to the park.
Close to the, yeah, close to the park,
parking lot.
close to the parking lot, yes.
So we'll pursue some more of that. I expect maybe the next meeting, I may have a few numbers of, for some of the work. So what I was just trying to get a number of doing the clearing, getting the trees out, getting them trimmed up, and then what it would take to do the excavation and just kind of see where those numbers fall. Obviously, if they're over a certain number, we need to go out for bid, but those may come in. And then once we see those, then we'll probably talk about, are we ready to go out to bid? I was gonna get Ike, and we were gonna go over there with some folks and just stake it out and lay it out on where it can fit. We talked about trying to save as many of the big trees as we can, which it looks like we can. But once we get that staked out, then we'll kind of have a better picture for someone to come in and look in a bit more detail. What do y'all think?
I like it, I like it. And,
Sounds good.
yeah, I'm afraid if we get too close to the house down there, that might be an issue of some sort that we don't want to create.
And we talked about this plant area up here in the corner, we could put a handicap parking spot there if we wanted to, but. We can also convert some of these out here, now that we're closer, it doesn't have to be right, the handicap have to be right next to the building, but we could use some of these so they can just walk right across. And
The big thing on handicap, you will have to, since Paul Rader uses a wheelchair, is the slope of the parking lot.
Correct.
So it has to be.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why we're talking like this, these
Oh,
out in
flat
the
one
front,
on the front,
but we can't do the ones on the side.
gotcha.
Also, yeah, and we kind of talked about that. I talked with Council Todd about it a little bit, but when we bought these lots. We don't, I assume they're still residential, and I'll look at Mary for a second, but they're residential, but, and again. So I don't know if there's something we need to do different with that, or because we're the municipality, is that give us some sort of grace of whatever, so I'm gonna look at Todd. And see if he could give any sort of idea on that, because it's, I don't know.
Funny you should say that. My notes are that we need to incorporate the help of Ms. Musson and the board to relieve you of the restrictions, covenants perhaps that would encumber the lots and require you to be a resident. So you'll be approaching their board, asking them permission perhaps, and hopefully in a cooperative effort, they'll allow you to do that. And then as the governing entity here, you can change the funding yourself.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
in a second, but I don't think they're in the PO, you know?
No, but they're still residential.
these
No,
lots
If they
here,
were in the POA, they would be residential.
right, why wouldn't it be in the POA?
I thought I'd say it wasn't in the
There
PO.
are pieces of property here and there that are, but another way around it would be to replat it into your property here, if there's a zoning issue.
Well, that's a good point, because we did talk the other day about replying those two into one. In case we needed to come over a little bit. Yeah,
The only caveat on replanting is you can't undo it,
Right.
okay.
so
Once it's done, it's done.
if you're not planning ever selling it.
Okay, well, we'll look at that and. Get our information on that. Anything else on that?
Thank you.
Okay, new business, part-time position for building inspector. Okay, I know you've been working on this. I would like to say is Do you mind if we push this to the next meeting, folks here, or do you wanna just,
It is totally fine.
you wanna kick it up and just say what?
It's totally fine. Mike and I had just been talking about it with his vacations coming up and, knowing those were coming up, but then, when he's on days off. And he's still taking calls and still doing work and, I just felt like we needed to do something to give this man a break because he does so much already. And that's what led to this. So he and I sat down and we're like, well, what would a part-time position do? And what would that look like to alleviate what he needs to move on to project management stuff, operational stuff, that kind of thing. And that's where this came from. So the point of putting it on here was just to get it in front of you guys for you to discuss. So.
Well, you guys
Would be
did a
nice.
good job writing it out.
Yeah, it's a good list. Yeah.
It's very appropriate.
And I think it's something that we need to really pursue because Ike has, not only is Ike the building inspector, but we've kind of gave him, I'm not sure how many titles that he now is encompassed with. 6 or 7, or
At
whatever.
least, yeah.
And it's, buildings and grounds superintendents and all kinds of stuff, and somebody's gotta be doing that particular part, which kind of takes him away from the inspection, and he has an excellent rapport with the builders, and he gets to them super quick, I mean, just unbelievably quick.
Well, I think it's a good idea as a backup too, whether he's on vacation or if he ends up being sick or for some reason can't come in, we
Yeah.
need somebody that can kind of at least fill
Right,
in,
yeah,
to kind of cover.
and so Tony, I'll let you say what you did with Lake Ozark, that was a great.
Oh,
With the.
Well, it
with
was
the-
John's idea. I met with Harrison Fry, he's the manager of, Lake Ozark, and we were trying to figure out how to get some backup for.
Right.
And Harrison was very, very open to share their inspector with us, vice versa. So we kind of had an agreement ongoing that if one or the other are kind of out and it's a major type thing, I doesn't want several things to be handed off to them, but just the ones that they agree to. So now we have somebody that looks like, we can deal with the builders and we can. So Harrison is very, very, very supportive and open to help us.
Well, that's great, that's great to have a neighbor that'll help back us up,
Okay,
qualified. too.
perfect. Anything else on the position that you have? All right, I'm gonna go to general discussion and just quickly, this is not something that I or the village supports, but in case anybody wants to know, I attended the Lake Ozark Alderman meetings a couple weeks ago where they brought in the general public again. Representatives from Raleigh for the new casino. And they basically shared a lot of information, asked the public thoughts and all that. I'm just FYI, if anybody would like to see what they're thinking about doing, this was handed out to the aldermen. You're more than welcome to just kind of see what's coming around the community. Obviously, there's nothing from the village about this. This is just information what's going on. So anybody's welcome to take a peek at what they plan on doing. Anything general discussion for anybody else? Okay, Todd, mark your record.
Court today went fine, you guys have actually been really quiet, it's the first time in 5 years, I have a list. Really.
Is that a good thing, Todd, or bad thing?
It's great.
Mark your record.
Yeah. Yeah, congratulations.
Yeah. That's great.
getting our act together.
Well, let's not say it by accident, that's fine.
I'm gonna jinx it, it's been 5 years since I didn't have to make a list.
That's great.
We'll get something that continues on. Okay, thanks, Todd. Now Danielle, anything you'd like to share?
I was just gonna share about the notice board that we had talked about, you guys had approved up to $500. I'm struggling to find a freestanding one, and so for now, I'm just gonna leave it where it is and try and come up with something else, because I don't know. One thing I didn't put on here that I wanna share is Iron Mountain is scheduled to deliver 6 drop-off containers on October 17th for us to fill for the shred. And then they'll come back, pick them up, take them to their facility, and they'll get a certificate of shred.
That means there was a lot of work to fill up 6 containers, so.
What are we doing?
Shredding.
Shredding old records, blueprints and things,
Things
Wow.
that we have digital that we gotta need to keep.
so it's all on digital now. Or you're going,
The stuff that we need to keep it, yeah.
that's awesome. Good job.
Exactly. Oh, and I spoke with Brenda, she will be back. Before I leave for those couple days, she'll be back down.
Awesome.
Great, yeah.
Okay, anything else? Daniel, thank you very much. Okay, comments from the visitors. I know Patrick Cochran's here. Would you like to?
Yes.
Come on. I believe you signed up. If you have it, if you would, I appreciate it.
I'd like to introduce myself to everybody. I'm Patrick Cochran. I am running for Camden County Sheriff. Actually, well, Chris is one of my good friends, so it's all good. He taught me into going to law enforcement, so it's all his fault. I actually worked for HH back whenever it was quiet down. Whenever I came on board for Dwight Franklin 2011, the fall of 2011. I worked for Jimmy, and then I had left and went to Crocker. And then whenever Tony took over, I came back and worked for Jimmy for another, I think, year and a half. So I'm familiar with this area, and just wanted to let you guys know, there was another candidate out there. I ran on the constitutional package instead of running on a Republican ticket. So here I am.
Mhm.
Anyway, if anybody'd like to ask me questions or whatever after, I'll stick around.
Good.
Do you have any examples?
Yes.
So just tell me when the ballot comes out November. 2 people will be on there.
Yes, yes, Chris will be first, and then I will be second.
Okay, any questions? Okay, okay, well, thank you for coming. Good luck.
Thank you.
And I believe there's some others that are on the, that might, I don't know if you were the first one.
You want me to put in?
Sure.
That way we can throw things at you if we like. Yeah, used to that.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm Mike Riley, moved down here in, beginning of the 90s. Raised the kids down here, my wife Sarah's with me, moral support. We also own, and I can explain this, the piece of property that's right off Cherokee to the left, which is 3749 Horseshoe Bend Parkway. And I guess that's been, I haven't been to a couple of these meetings, but that's been a discussion. For starters, for all, in the beginning, when we were looking at even purchasing property, we thought we went through all the proper channels. Talked to Jeff and he was still here. He was my first phone call. And then I talked to the POA and talked to the fire department about what can we do? What should we do? We actually were in a lease of the other property to the left of the one that we purchased. That turned into a lawsuit. That's why we ended up purchasing the one that we have. Since then, to get out of the lawsuit, we purchased the next one over to the left, so we have both. The trees that we removed, we had full permission. We didn't do that. We didn't do that. And I mean, trying to sneak it through to anybody, we thought we went through all the proper channels with everyone. When I came back off of a meeting, and by the way, Ike, even today, what you were talking about, he answered the phone today. He's on vacation in Smoky Mountains and he answered the first ring. So does he need help? Yeah, he definitely needs help because he'll still take a phone call on family vacations.
Yeah.
We're very fortunate to have him. What we're looking at doing right now, we cleared that just because we've got a small construction company and an excavation landscape company, so we cleared that so we can start using the property. When I came back, he asked us to stop completely doing anything up there. He goes, don't do anything, we're having some issues, there's questions with zoning. When we purchased that property through our attorneys. also the same attorneys that sold it to the party that we purchased it from. Both times, we were under the impression, and they were under the impression that that was on commercial, but that's another, we can get into that later. So what we're looking at doing, we want to do something up there that's nice. Yeah, we took the trees out, so I'm gonna leave these for you guys. This is, we're looking at doing, because my wife's seen this in a couple different states, we've seen this in a couple different states, just as family. As a food truck area, starting to get popular right now. So the top part to the right, there, all the trees removed, and we'll leave these for everybody, but we're looking at doing something along the lines of this. And we'll leave these up there for everyone. Got 2 copies. We've got 3D video or video pictures of the same thing. We want to do a pavilion up top. We're looking at putting in bathrooms, some astroturf area. So as you make that turn, instead of the missing trees that we have, you'll actually see something that we think is that we're striving for to make that area look better. I'll leave these up here with you guys. Couple copies. With that said, we're also going to be looking at possibly boring underneath the road, getting sewer over to that side, which it's not right now. We have water on that side. So we'll literally put in bathrooms if we end up doing that. We're not looking at a brick and mortar right now. The bathrooms and the pavilion will be a brick and mortar. So that is standard. We're also wanting to put in home run banks for the electric. So the people that actually bring the trucks there, we won't have generators running the whole time. So when families go up there, it'll be quiet. And I don't know if you've gone to any of the other ones that are around the area. If you do, as soon as you go up there, generators running. And they're not the Honda generators that are super quiet. I mean, they're extremely loud. So we're just, those are the steps that we're taking. We've been working with Ike on this. Wanting to get to work with the village on everything that we're doing. So if, while we're taking these steps, if you guys are saying, yeah, we're looking towards that, yes, we did, because we would also like to change some of the things that you guys have already approved. I'm just gonna throw that out there right now. Because we're gonna try to get people that are gonna be there for a year. We're gonna try to get people for a lease, so they don't have to move their food trucks in and out. It's gonna be easier for them. Plus, for the people on HH, they're gonna know that those vehicles are gonna be there. They're gonna know if their family's gonna go out on Tuesday to go get tacos, or if they're gonna go out on Thursday to get ice cream, or in the morning for coffee. It's gonna be in the same spot. We've also already talked to the road district. Not jumping the gun, but just saying, we're trying to go through the due diligence to get those things out of the way. Kevin from the road district told us, well, if you're gonna do something like that, we want an in and out. And we have that option right now with just that first property, that you can come in through our entrance and you can exit out on the left-hand side where the campground is. So it would be a directional traffic and not people trying to pull in, people pulling out in the same spot. Even though they said, Kevin said, hey, that's kind of the same traffic that we have just on Cherokee anyway, pulling in and pulling out. So. With that, one other thing, when we get to the bathrooms, we might actually come to the village and see if you guys would help us with that. That's gonna be a big expense. But we're looking at, when we put the bathroom in year round, we would maintain it as the Mike Riley Construction Land Divisions. So we would make sure that it was cleaned up, this and that, but we would like to come to you guys to see if there's anything at all that the village could actually do, or just the boring cost to get underneath is gonna be ridiculous. But we've also got another business in back of us, and we'll go to them because we understand that they're on a septic right now. So we'll see if maybe we can go down to the bottom of that, maybe end up with a grinder station down there that everybody can use. For the village too, which we've talked about a number of times, maybe, we're not sure how this would look for you guys, but anyone down there should have, or anybody who's permanent there should have peddler's license or village license, which should be bringing revenue into the village if we can figure out how those tax dollars would work. That's it. So, as we go forward, if there's anything any feedback that we can get from you guys, let us know if there's something more that you guys are wanting. We just got done with a little more of a change of the topo over there, because in the building that we own, we made a drive-through to the back. We're not sure if we're gonna do landscaping walls, concrete walls there in the back. A lot of that has to do with what we're gonna figure out, how many trucks we can get there. Parking, pavilion pad, A, B, and C, but this is just step one. We just want to put in front of you guys and say, first, we'd like to clear. We apologize for the tree removal to all, but it's
Yeah, and you were given permission from our building inspector at that time to go ahead and do it because. You know, I just don't think he knew that we had a tree policy. And which was, you know, it was all right, so.
nor did fire department or anybody else.
Yeah, we get it.
So,
And then, and also back to what you were saying about the zoning, again, that was no mustard on your face at all, because that was our bad, kind of on that, because back in, I think it was 04. I think it was zoned commercial, but our clerk back then forgot to put it in, it never went through, and it took some real reading. Going back through our records to find it, that it had been done, and so. It's been commercial since 04. I mean, it was like, oh my gosh, so that whole little pickup.
we understand.
The slowdown of whatever else, so, you know, that's, I don't want you to be, you know. Taking the hit on that one, you know, but that was a slowdown on our part because of something that happened, like, whatever, 20 years ago.
Again, we want to work with you guys on anything, and Ike's been great. And when he wants time, he said, hey, just give us some time. Don't do anything else, don't move any more trees, don't do anything even on the new property that we purchased. He goes, please leave everything alone until we get everything done. And we're fine with that, until you guys come to us and say, okay, what's the next step? And then we'll move from there.
So, yeah, I guess that's something what is the next step? Is this, I mean, again, we do know it is a commercial area.
That's only one side. And the other one we just purchased, maybe. Might have been 6 weeks or 2 months ago, because we just got done with lawsuit. This is how we closed that out. So per Ike again, we haven't done anything, we haven't made any plans. We basically closed this out just to be done with lawsuit. And now we're gonna figure out, we've had, the property was redone by Allen Surveying, different markers are put up. So we know which property is ours, separated from the company that we purchased it from. And now as soon as we get the zoning done, then we start working with you guys, we're looking at.
Do I dare ask what that property zone is? Do we even know the new property that you purchased? Are you wanting it to be zoned a certain way?
We're really hoping that zone's commercial as well.
I think it is, you know, I'm not exactly sure where Mike's talking about, but I think.
We did, when you go down that road, since you pull in the entrance to the left. We rented that from the Brown family. Leased that from the Brown family years ago. Because we used to do a lot of work with them, and we had a 20 or 25 year lease with them. No one was using it. Now, that building was used a number of different times for a number of different commercial businesses.
Are you talking about the building that's behind this property that's on Horseshoe Bay?
Yeah, but there's 3 buildings back there. There's one, if you pull down through the gates,
On the left.
there's one on the right.
Okay,
That's where we removed the trees.
correct.
The one on the right, there's another building back behind that Performance owns,
Okay,
with all that property back there, but there's also a building on the left,
okay.
which was probably the bigger warehouse of all.
Mhm.
And all it is a red iron building.
And that building sitting on the new piece of property that you purchased.
That's the one that we purchased to get out, when Performance bought all of that property for the Browns. That was in the full closing of that property. So we went, segregated that piece off and X amount of property with that. We have all the road frontage, the highway road frontage with that.
Are you wanting us to tell you that it's commercial, or have we already told you that new plot is commercial? I don't know if you even
Yeah,
looked
I
at
don't know.
it, but you want it commercial.
We want to push it. we're under the, we were under the assumption when we actually bought it that that was commercial.
Right.
And as was the seller that purchased that from the Browns Performance, that was all in their closing was listed as commercial.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's all commercial, but I will go through that again with Ike, because again, that was back in that area, as I said, yeah, and I'm pretty sure that's all been turned in that direction, and that's why we just dropped the whole thing. It was like, this is, if we were going to P and Z originally, and we had a planning and zoning committee brought in, and then, but we will, I'll find that out when I get back again, but I'm.
And I think we're trying to find out based on the counties, how they
We
have
tried to
their
find
zoning
out.
on their GIS, we were kind of confused.
And the county said that's you, that's your,
How they zone it and who zone it and who's responsible for doing the zoning.
right,
True.
Yeah.
And, you know,
This stuff was.
Yeah.
So question I have on this property and you're where you have to line up the food trucks, and I know there's that building behind. Is that something then you'd be, putting some kind of like a fencing or something?
Absolutely,
In there, probably just to address it up.
because we would put some sort of retaining wall across the back of it, we don't know what that looks like yet. But there would also be, not only fencing, most likely a privacy fence all the way across the back.
Yeah.
And it really depends on if we can get the ordinance changed where they can be permanent.
Right.
The direction and how we would get them positioned. We would want it as attractive as we can, and now that we've gone through and we've excavated back, it's probably a 6 or 7 foot. Drop, so that there's no question, whatever it is, we would bring it up to whatever code, I mean, anything over 36, we have to have handrail on anyway.
Okay.
But we would probably be more inclined to privacy fence to hide the building in the back. And just try to address the whole property, because our main plan would be, this would be not just during the season, we'd actually want this like some of the other cities do, it's open year round.
Yeah, because you have full-time residents here, so.
Exactly.
So you're gonna be providing pretty much full hookup, electric, sewer, water.
That's
Show up and connect.
that's what we're looking at.
The sewer, and you were talking about maybe being able to septic switch on to the people behind you, maybe, depending on what you're looking.
Right now, the buildings that we have are on septic, all 3 of those. But if we were gonna do this, I think what we would do is probably go more underneath the road, because we have it on the other side of the road.
Oh, is there
The sewer's over there, that's what the water company says.
Oh, the stand, is it a plant by itself?
No, it's the main sewer line.
Oh, I didn't think we had a sewer line that went through the. I didn't think. we were all-
That's what we've been told.
I don't know that, I didn't know that there was a sewer line out there either, but I mean, that's,
Okay.
that'll be found, whether there is or there isn't, I'm not.
Well, I go to the water company meetings, board meetings. And all I've ever heard was basically there is no like main sewer along Horseshoe Bay, is my interpretation. They had some of these condos, in some older developed neighborhood. A few have their own little standing alone, sewer little plant, like that.
True.
That's all I know, of course, the Visalia up there have their own, and probably Forest Lodge probably has it. But yeah, double check on that,
We
because
will.
as far as I know, they don't have a sewer like you're thinking that they may have, so just check, I was just saying. If you're thinking about hooking up on maybe something else, you said, well, if you can't do that, you may try to build into the guy behind you or something.
Well, and all 3 of us are using kind of the same plan over there, but with that said, we also have enough property over to the left.
You could-
That we believe, working with the engineers, I'm also a home builder. That with the engineering that we've done on a lot of these septic systems, and our other company actually installs them. That we'd be able to hook up something for this property, because it would be. It's gonna be bathrooms and sink.
Mhm.
But then we would also probably run some running water to each one of the food trucks.
Mhm.
Only as intake water, no disposal water, that they would have to do that themselves, but just for cooking.
Yes, check with the water company on that thing,
Do that.
because they do sometimes the set sewer. Dealings, and also on your water, I do know on these trucks, these food trucks, they do need to be, I think it's the state has some regulations of disposing of their. grease or whatever, so, and not that, so it doesn't get poured down.
That's right.
System, yeah, so, yeah, the water cut, yeah, no.
And at that point, we will find out from the state what we need to do. And we would, I mean, we'll take full responsible for the whole property up there, making sure that we take care of who's ever rented from us and their spaces.
Is it safe to assume that you have a copy of our ordinance for food trucks that I can
This
get?
is, this is, yep.
Well, I want to thank you for keeping your place tidy. Weeds cut down and piles. I had a couple neighbors of mine pass, and like, as the stone started piling up. Pile, they're like, what is this? It looks like a dump site.
Yep.
So I was one that was kind of watching that, so I thank you for getting it
Absolutely.
clean, because, you know, we want to have a nice presentation for the village, so thank you so much for.
Okay.
for
And
doing
again,
it. It was very nice.
we would have done more, but Ike said, just keep everybody off property. So that's-
We're glad to have you again.
So thank you so much.
I would appreciate you and your wife coming up here and getting ahead of the game and coming to share this with us. I mean, we get excited about people coming in early and give us a chance of partnership. Great. So that's very, very appreciative. I would ask if you're at the stage, I don't know if you are, if you could just send something in writing, what you need from us. Like you mentioned, you wanted the ordinance change. You mentioned you wanted some help with possible boring under, which that may not be an item if there's not sewer over there, but if you could formally send us a letter
Absolutely.
saying, here's the things that we would like for the village to either address, you know, like verifying that you are commercial, that have property, and the other things you mentioned, that would be a really good help.
Absolutely.
We can get ahead, yeah, like you said, we can get under.
Is there anything else you need from this board?
So I can wrap my head around, Mike, where is that exactly compared to where the power lines are there? I assume it's gotta be.
That's it. That's it.
I see that it's the three guide wires that are coming across.
That's gonna be,
building area, right?
because we've already talked to Amber about that, and that can't be moved.
Right.
Now, we are gonna get, there's a double post right there that I went through, we're gonna get that one removed, just to clean that up, so the one next to it, I think that was one that got.
That's one vote hit.
Yeah, and got that down, but we're gonna incorporate that, not only, we wanna put something around there, which they would actually like us to do, we'll probably put some posts, some steel posts around there.
Protected.
Yeah, protective around there, and then somehow we're gonna incorporate the line in there that it's
There,
it's,
I get it,
yeah,
I've seen
it's,
it.
it's gonna be somewhere in the pavilion, but we're talking about either putting bag games or horseshoe or something up there, just for when families are there, but
Yeah,
also when you make the turn, it's just gonna look better than it's looking.
it's
That's a nice concept.
It's been a pretty corner forever, really.
Yeah, well,
I mean,
we'll see if we can do.
so, yeah, I think you're.
God, you need things.
Mike, I'm Todd Holcomb. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Where have you seen this long-term lease arrangement done anywhere?
We haven't seen it down here, we've just seen it in different states
Where
as
have you seen
we
it?
travel. What's the last one?
Oregon is the one, near Portland.
And then the one,
Literally in like almost like a residential houses and then also the main street,
we have video and pictures. And it's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
super cool.
Because food trucks by and large, the sticks and bricks folks pay them because they come in, flash in, take some of the market and then never have to pay the property taxes. So that's why there's pushback on leaving them at a certain spot for a long period of time. So your business model is completely different from what I've heard before.
Okay.
I'm just curious to see where it's working out somewhere else.
Again, before we set up anything, and we've talked to a number of these food trucks right now, and we've given them zero information. Because we have to find out how that's gonna work with you. And how are they gonna pay the taxes? It's the same thing. I mean, I know a lot of the owners of the properties up here, and I don't want them coming to us saying, hey, these guys are putting this in there, and they're not paying any taxes, and we're paying all the taxes. So I don't know what that looks like yet. But I'm gonna actually look with you guys to help us design how that's gonna look, so that's fair.
Property taxes on our realm, but Marty in his office could speak to you about that. I'm sure once you make improvements, your assessments will fluctuate, but yeah, that's a big sensitivity, and that's why the programs that they approved or adopted says move on, you know, and what you're asking them to do is to allow their footprint to remain for at least a year, is that what I heard?
Correct, yep. I also want to be realistic because I understand, I've had two of my friends actually had the food trucks on the property and they said that they have to move 10 feet or you gotta roll forward and roll back.
Yes.
I want to be more legitimate than that. Because I don't want to say, hey, you guys will instruct 10 feet forward, rolls 10 feet back, that's ridiculous.
Oh, it's just to qualify for me.
Yeah, just so, or if they switch positions at the end of the week. I don't think that's what we're after. Because if we're gonna compete against other restaurants, I don't want them mad at us either, and I don't want them to say, so you're literally having these guys pull the truck, you know. 10 feet up, 10 feet back, that's more of a slap in the face, I would rather find something that everybody can live with. And say, okay, that's fair, and number one, probably them paying what they should be paying, which. There's no way we're gonna be able to monitor the dollars, but we can monitor our rent. And the water and the sewer, and if that becomes part of the lease. Where then we can go back to you guys and say, we're collecting this, and part of this goes back to you. In what we're doing. We don't know how that looks.
Property taxes is an impact here, it's just sales tax.
Okay.
Property taxes could be a road district, could be the county, obviously, the sheriff's department. And they cannot value your property based upon a mobile equipment sitting on the property, it has to be the January 1. Essentially, that's.
Brick and mortar.
So your property tax would go up, but only the sales tax will impact these folks, of course. You know, sales tax is a good thing for municipality, they don't have that for, you know, services, so I'm just intrigued that you sit down on this, so, because I've never heard of this concept, and I'm kind of curious to see where it might work out.
We'll do more homework and we'll bring that into this as well, and then maybe together we can all figure out, you know, how that works. And even the property tax, if we're doing that, if we're gonna get charged more, and maybe it's a separate number. That we pass that along as well.
And you are using Four Seasons as your city, Four Seasons, Missouri, as opposed to Lake Ozark. On your addresses and all that kind of stuff. Meaning, you know, since we share Lake Ozark zip code. It helps, I think, even on sales tax purposes, I think that if you make sure you say Four Seasons, because you're in the Four Seasons.
Okay.
That I think tracking sales tax will come back, I think helps. Us Village of Four Seasons get those sales tax.
So should that be listed as village or Four
No.
Seasons? That's what I thought it was supposed to be.
Just
Village.
Four Seasons, just, no, Four Seasons, say Four Seasons.
Okay.
That will help us get as much sales tax.
Danielle gets a report, and she can go down on sales tax and any merchant tax, pay sales tax in the village.
Okay.
So we can monitor that, and you know, obviously, if we don't see sales tax coming from. And they're gonna have a business.
It also-
license,
Only shows up if they are paying.
right, so we won't,
The
we know if they're
restaurant
out
that
there,
We
if they got a
haven't seen.
business license, we don't see it. Might come off and say, hey.
Again, anything along those lines, whatever we can do. To work with you guys as well.
Okay,
Todd, there's one of those in Texas where I used to live, that was the same situation, it was the same trucks for a year or whatever. It was pretty successful, I'll find out the name of it, and see if I can find out anything else.
Yeah.
there's one of my.
You want to do that, like that, finding things, not, you know, go wrong.
Okay.
And I think this concept, I think is so nice, it's better than just your regular. How food trucks are handled, because a lot of people, including my husband, can't stand food trucks. Because usually a lot of times it's just sitting there, you got the generator, you got something in the back, and you can usually see it like at the Patriots, I guess we can see the
The coolers
backside.
that they put in the back.
Yeah, and on the
Oh, goodness.
outside, and I tell them, I said, well, you know, no, I don't like that, blah, 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 so this concept that you have is a nice, neat. One that takes away that, I don't know, what was it, tax or whatever, dirt. Yeah, okay, there you go, good.
All it is.
Yeah, and so I think this is a great, concept. I
Well, we
think
look
this is
forward
a-
to future conversations and we'll work together. Appreciate you coming.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, guys, thank you, appreciate your time.
Would your wife like to add anything to this?
Oh, I was just gonna say, well, I took videos and pictures and everything of the one in Oregon because I was so impressed. And what I was impressed about was, they had TVs up there, but, Little League baseball teams, the coaches would bring them and let the kids pick out anything to eat, and they would sit and have a picnic together and, you know, families and. It was just very neat and put together, and it was an old firehouse that, like at the Pavilion Park, but it was an old firehouse that put in its own bar and, drink area and things like that, and I'm like, we need to look at this for the lake, because it was impressive.
Yeah, she'll hold me to that standard.
Yeah.
Sure.
Your reputation precedes you, of course, you could end up, that's about. So,
Thank you.
if there's a way to perhaps.
And not just now, what I was gonna end up saying too, is thank you, Val, thank you for recognizing that, I appreciate it. We're glad you're in the village doing the business. We know you do well, get back to the area, and you're very well respected. And we like having you here, so thanks for being part of it.
So we want more people like you.
Okay, anybody else?
I'll take it.
Sure.
Right. First off, I'm Chris Edgar. I ran on the Republican ticket. I won the primary. Now I'm here running for the general election. A little bit about me. I've been married for 17 years. I have two beautiful children. My oldest is a police officer right now. I have an amazing daughter-in-law and one grandchild that has my heart. I don't know if anyone has grandchildren, but I told my son if I could trade you, we would do that in a heartbeat. I have almost 20 years in law enforcement. I started out with the city of Camdenton. Well, prior to law enforcement, I ran a business. I went in and business management was my thing. In college, did business management. Managed 3 very large companies. One of them was a Fortune 500 company. My wife and I decided she was tired of me traveling, and I told her I wanted to be a police officer, and she was very supportive of that. Left a very lucrative salary, by Kansas City, moved down here, and I started out at $12.75 an hour. And luckily, we had money set, and we were fine, but it was eye-opening. There was a need here. So I worked my way up through law enforcement. I ended up as the chief of operations and chief of investigations for our prosecutor's office here. So overseeing 5 counties of all arrays of law enforcement. So every major crime. I've been involved in 2 crimes that have made it on 2 national television shows. I'm asked not to be interviewed on them. I didn't want any of that. And then Ferguson happened. And I thought we have a need. The kids growing up and the disconnect with law enforcement. It was hurting. So I said I wanted to make a difference. I left the prosecutor's office and went in to Lake Current Technical Center and started teaching high school kids law enforcement and crime scene investigations. And when I continued, I still do that today. I'm an adjunct professor at Missouri State University, and I train police officers all across the state. I carry 2 commissions now. I carry one with the city, and now I started helping with the sheriff's office because we knew the budget needed to be, there were some issues. So Tony actually graciously asked me to come in, the current sheriff now, to help. And since I've been in there, I was able to help fulfill my first campaign promise before I'm even elected. We were able to balance the budget and utilize the sales tax that everybody wrote, that everybody voted on and approved.
and used that to put in a wage scale for the deputy, for all the staff with raises. So before, a deputy, for a first year deputy was making the same as a junior deputy. And there was no pay difference between, and they would never move unless they got a cost of living raise. So I was able to sit down with them and we were able to get the pay scale set based on their job performance. So we set out their job performance and years of service. So it's not just you're here for this many years and you're gonna get the raise either way. So I wanted it to be lucrative that the deputies are out there gonna be working. So I look forward to continue working with the citizens, hopefully as your sheriff. I want to be a transparent sheriff. I've established and laid out for an advisory board where me, the sheriff, would sit down with the community, all the communities throughout the lake. Where I sit down with everyone that comes up with the board and we'll go over the budget. I'll go over the needs. With being involved with the sheriff's office, one of the needs I found is the deputies are carrying, they have what they call a level 2 bulletproof vest. Well, a level 2 is not a very good bulletproof vest. A 9mm full metal jacket can actually penetrate through the vest. So I've been trying to work with the commissioners to get, and also with grants to be able to get all deputies in a level 3A that we know will stop all handgun rounds. At least, so, but these are things that I would like to start bringing up in front of the advisory board. I want a full transparent sheriff's department. I want to be able to say, hey, here's the budget. Here's what we've been able to do. What are your thoughts? And then as a community, what can we do to help you? And here's what we would like to do to be able to offer that. And it just brings that community policing together. And it brings that on with the sheriff's office and the community as one, where we're working together as one to try to lower our crime rate. I mean, the sheriff's office and law enforcement doesn't know the crime areas and the problems that the citizens know in their areas. So if you say, hey, we've seen this car drive around here, we've had some issues, but we're very fortunate here to have the law enforcement that you guys have. You guys have some amazing deputies here, but I don't want to take too much of your time, but if there's anything I can do, please reach out to me. I know I talked with over 5 minutes, so I apologize. And if anybody would like a pamphlet.
So Patrick, Chris, best of luck.
Thank
We
you
look
very
forward to working with someone here and we just asked a few simple things. Don't mess with Jimmy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We make a trade.
Very
You'll
simple,
be in trouble, right?
very simple.
What do we trade? What do we make a trade?
Like cars or what?
Yeah, bring Abe over here. We'll train Abe up and we'll.
So it's not like you got some plans.
No,
Jimmy's
I would
always-
like to see, Jimmy has so much potential and the guys respect him so much. That, initially I was asked. I was gonna bring an undersheriff from outside the area. But the deputies asked me, I've been meeting with all the employees
And you made a decision after your understanding.
to be honest, I'm down to 2.
Okay.
And it was one of my 2 that I was looking at.
Well, it sounds like the both of you are Jimmy promoters, and that's a great thing for us to at least know that we have Jimmy here again. So
You can promote him all you want, you just can't do it.
I know, he's like, I have to still be over, he goes, I'll have to go back and forth at least. I said, well, I'm sure I could work something out.
Well, and the second is obviously, we'd like to have some more out here, because to be honest, we're looking concerned that if something happens to just one of your sheriffs out here, and he needs a backup. He now, not only we have maybe some impact of crime, but we sure don't want the sheriff to be in harm's way, if he doesn't have a backup that can quickly come in.
Absolutely.
So,
Which I have, my initial implementing this wage scale is hopeful. And I've noticed the morale is starting to come up, actually meeting with all of the deputies. And we have 12 openings right now for deputies, so. My goal is to get most of those filled so we can start serving our community like they should be served.
my third thing is please use the downstairs to substation more or whatever, so. We definitely want to keep you out here as well in this lower level, so we'll put in more air conditioners and we'll put in more.
I was gonna say, that's nice. I haven't been out here since the split unit.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's.
Yeah,
We're very blessed to have you guys.
yeah, it's more our way, so anyway, thanks for coming. We thank everybody for coming, we enjoy having some people come in. Mary Beth was here from the president of POA, so Mary, thanks for being with us tonight. With that, our next meeting is November 13th. And if we can get a motion to adjourn the meeting,
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting at,
Well, second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we are adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.